Okay, it's about time we round up the game engine. Before we proceed with the final development, let's do a bit of recap. Just a bit of recap. In the game engine workflow, the load quiz bucket generates for us a quiz bucket dictionary. The next thing we do is to set a variable player score to 0 and then grab all the question numbers from the quiz bucket dictionary. Now, the next thing we did is to show on the form the player score and the player name. For the very first time, the player score would be 0. Next, we use a for each loop and we loop through each of the question numbers. For every question number coming from the quiz bucket dictionary, we grab the question, the answer options, and the correct answer. Now we use a set form value here to display the question as well as the answer options. We display that to the player using the game engine form. The next thing we do is to wait until the player has selected an answer option. And that is the functionality of the workflow. This workflow here, get player selected answer, waits until it has received a selected answer from the player. That's all we have done. And let's proceed to the development. Okay, now let's finish this up. Right after the get player selected answer workflow, you want to have the evaluate player answer. So drag this right at the bottom of the get player selected answer workflow. You want to hit import arguments, expand on this, and you want to get this bound. Selected answer, bound to selected answer, player score, bound to player score, and correct answer, bound to correct answer. Hold up, I think we're going to have a bit of functionality issues here. The direction of player score is supposed to be in or out, but we have it as in alone. We need to go into the evaluate player answer options and change this to in or out. This is because whatever changes that occurs to player score in the evaluate player answer workflow should reflect inside of the game engine. Without wasting too much time, let's go fix this. Okay, first off, I'm going to click save and Control S to save. Now I'm going to hit open workflow to go inside of the workflow. So inside of the evaluate player answer, I want to go to arguments and I should see player score. The direction is in and I want to switch this to in or out. I click outside and I hit Control S to save. Now I can close the evaluate player answer workflow again and I should see this yellowish or orange colored message. This is because the argument has changed. I'm going to hit import arguments again and I'm going to expand on this and now it should be fine. Player score should have a direction of in or out. I'm going to hit save and Control S to save. Okay, it's about that time we test our game engine workflow. Make sure you're inside of the game engine workflow and you want to hit the debug. I am really nervous that we're going to have some errors. Everybody. All right, now you can see what I said. We have an error. I'm always really nervous when we do this test because I know we're definitely gonna see an error. Right now we have an error coming from the load quiz bucket workflow. And I can recall that we took our time to do this. We're not expecting any errors at all, but we have an error right at the deserialized JSON array activity. And you can see the error message says deserialized JSON array error passing infinity value. It means there is something wrong with whatever that went into the deserialized JSON, and that is the response content. Head over to local and let's look for response content in locals. And now you can see, oh my goodness, it says invalid. I'm going to expand on this. It says invalid difficulty, must be easy, medium, and hard. Now take a look at this: easy, medium, hard, all in lowercase. I think I know the issue. It's about time I sound my alarm. Okay, now let's go fix this error. I'm going to cancel out of this and I'm going to stop the process. I want us to head over to GameEngine. The problem we are having here is that in our mock test, we have passed in the wrong value for our difficulty. So if you open up the assign for the mock and you go to where you have set difficulty, you can see you have medium with, and the word medium M starts with an uppercase. You want to make this a lowercase m and hit save and Ctrl S to save. And this should be fine. Now another test. I'm going to hit the debug. And we have our game up and running. Right now, you can see it looks good. It provides me a question and I can choose from the answers here. And when I hit submit, it goes over to the next question. Oops, I think there is an error. Now it quickly ends the game. Let's fix this. Okay, just before we jump around to fix things, there are a couple of things we need to update in our form. Go back to the GameEngine form, and I would love my question number to be displayed on the form as well. So the first thing I want to do is go into the question field. So hit edit, and in the display section, you want to keep the label hidden. So you want to check hide label and save out of this. Ctrl S to save. Okay, the next thing you want to do is add a custom label to your question field. To do that, I'm going to go to my component section and bring in a label or header component. I go over to the field key section, and for the property name, I'm gonna use something like question tag. Looks good, and I'm gonna save and Ctrl S to save. Now let's head back to our GameEngine workflow, and right on the set form values activity, you want to expand on this and you should see question tag. If you don't see question tag, then you can add an entry and reference question tag based on the property name in the field key section you have provided in the form. Okay, for the value of the question tag, you want to expand on this and you want to set it to this. What I'm saying here is pretty simple. Display question number, whatever number. So what this is going to do is just going to display question number 1, question number 2, depending on whatever question is being displayed on the form at that point in time. I'm going to save out of this again, and Ctrl S to save. Looks good. And one very last thing you need to do to the form, you want to go to your answer options, because I noticed the answer options were not getting refreshed. So you want to go to your answer options, you want to hit edit, and you want to go to data, and you want to come down here. You could see refresh options on. You want to click the drop down here and you want to select question. So every time the question field is changed or updated, this field should get refreshed. So you want to click save, Ctrl S to save, and I think we are good. Okay, now to the major issue. I want us to go into the get player selected answer workflow, and the issue was with this workflow. The moment we hit the submit button, we have updated the submit button to true. And when we exit out of this loop, it makes a lot of sense for us to reset that button. So we need to reset the button right here. To do that, all we have to do is add a set form values right after the do while loop, and you want to target the GameEngine form. You want to expand on this, and for the submit button, so you're going to add an entry and you reference the submit button. If you can remember, the property name is called submit, and you want to set the value to false. Looks good, and save out of this. Control S to save. In fact, it makes most sense to do this in the beginning and at the end of this workflow. So I'm going to take this up here too, and I'm going to add this right here. So I'm going to set this in the beginning, that's at the start of the workflow, and also at the end. It looks good and we're fine. Okay, now let's do our test again. Back to our game engine, and I'm going to hit the debug. And as you can see, the game opens up nicely. I have my name displayed here and my score point is displayed here. You can see the tag, it appears as question number 1. And the actual question is displayed here and as options. I'm going to select an answer and I hit submit. It goes to the next question, displays the next question, and displays the answer options related to that question. I select an answer, hit submit. I score 10 points because that was correct. And we are on the third question. This looks really interesting. Pretty good, working fine. I wouldn't want to waste too much time here, so let's go do some other stuff.